urgently and collectively. Number one, manage borrowing and lending better. Creditors should offer contingency plans to borrowers, plans to pause repayments if the borrower faces financial difficulties. Number two, introduce better ways to manage shocks and crises. Low-income countries are always vulnerable to external crises. A high proportion of their debt is in foreign currency. This makes their economies vulnerable to external changes. We need to develop a mechanism which insulates them from such shocks, a mechanism to restructure unsustainable debts better. Solution number three, expand the common framework's eligibility criteria. What's that? It's a framework established by the G20. It's supposed to help poor countries restructure their debt. Well, so far, this framework applies to only 73 of the poorest countries in the world. It should be expanded. It should cover other highly indebted countries, also vulnerable lower middle income countries. Solution number four, promote alternatives to borrowing. Lower income countries face major public financing shortfalls, even for basic public needs like healthcare and education. Studies say if these countries improve tax collection, they can reduce the need for borrowing more. Fifth solution, increase accountability and transparency, both for borrowers and lenders. For instance, the World Bank has often raised concerns over the terms of lending by Chinese creditors. A 2021 study found that Chinese contracts include unusual confidentiality clauses. No secret there. They allow the lenders to influence the borrower's domestic and foreign policies. Sri Lanka is a classic example. It let China dictate its domestic policy in return for money, and this needs to end. We need a framework which protects countries from falling into debt traps laid by the likes of China. For far too long, the world has looked the other way. Debt crisis in developing economies is now a security issue. Relief comes too little and too late. And this must change. We need preemptive action, an approach that prevents such crises. This is the biggest lesson from the pandemic. Any crisis can have a domino effect. A small event in a far-off land can trigger an unstoppable chain reaction. So Sri Lanka may just be the beginning. There's no saying where it ends.